Yo guys, welcome back to another video, and in today's video, like I promised you guys, I am talking about the movie Awarapan 2. Now this is a movie review. I think I've only ever done one before, which was my Sikandar movie review. So if you haven't seen that, go and watch that. But here we are to talk about Awarapan 2. Now I watched this movie on the 18th of August, so a couple of days after the movie had released, but I'd stayed off social media. Number one, to avoid spoilers. Number two, basically just to avoid spoilers, to be honest. And I didn't want anybody else's review or words to influence my review, because if you guys have been following me for a while now, then you probably know that I make all the judgment, all the opinions on my own accord. I don't go off anybody else. If everybody else loves something and I don't like it, I'm not afraid to say I don't like it because of backlash. But let's just start with number one, the casting. So you have Imran Hashmi reprising his role as Shivam Pandit. Now, common sense, there was no one else that was going to play this role. I just want to start by saying Imran Hashmi absolutely nailed his role. Now, there was this doubt going into the second movie, would Imran Hashmi be able to live up to the expectations of how he performed in the first Awarapan. In the first Awarapan, his acting was amazing. He showcased heartbreak. He showcased that moody look. He showcased that look where he finally not finds God, but believes in something. And these sort of things, people tended to wonder, would he be able to showcase this again in part two? And I can say without a doubt that Imran Hashmi is still just the actor that he was in 2007. His acting was amazing, whether it was the action scenes that got you pumped, whether it was the emotional scene that got you pumped, whether it was the romantic scenes that got you pumped. You know, his acting was 10 out of 10. Moving on to Disha Patni. Now, initially when she was announced to be in this movie, I had my doubts, which was, would she be able to live up to what the actress in the first movie did, showcasing that innocence, that heartfelt emotion. So Disha is not necessarily an actress who I think is the best actress. I'm not really too fond of her acting. However, in this movie, I can say that the role was nothing too big for her to need to showcase exceptional acting, but her role was also designed in a certain way that she had the acting capability to fulfill that role. So I don't think she necessarily did bad acting in this movie. I also don't necessarily think she did amazing acting, because it didn't require amazing acting. There was a few scenes between her and Imran Hashmi, which I did like. I did like the chemistry between the two. So overall, I think Disha Patni was okay in this movie. She did what she needed to do. You can't say, it's harsh to say that she ruined the movie, or why didn't they get someone else? Yes, they could have got someone else, but it's not like she ruined the movie. Number three, Shabana Azmi, I want to talk about. Now, Shabana Azmi had an important role, but she wasn't in like a huge part of the movie. She was only in, I'd say she had a total of about 10 minutes screen time in the whole movie. However, whatever part she was in, whatever scene she were in, you could feel that intensity of her character. Her acting is still next level. It's still amazing. I actually really liked her character. I thought the scenes that she were in definitely lifted the movie, and she definitely fulfilled her role to the max. She was very menacing whilst also keeping a cool, calm and collected attitude. So Shabana Azmi had two movies that released on that day, actually, Batwara and this, and she nailed it. From what I've heard, she nailed it in Batwara as well, but I have not seen that yet. But she definitely nailed it in this movie. Moving on to the next actor, you have Vijayant Kohli. Now, he's an actor that I've only recently discovered, one being in Sikandar and another being in Bads of Bollywood. Now, his character initially is just that typical crew member who's a gangster, part of the villain's crew. One scene that really disturbed me, spoiler alert, was when Imran Hashmi's adopted daughter Alia gets kidnapped. And he portrays that creepiness where he says, "You're coming home with me." That scene genuinely made me feel uneasy, and I think it was purely because of the way he delivered that line. He is a very good actor. He definitely added that comedic aspect to it, and his death scene was definitely like, it wasn't shocking, but it definitely made you feel like, Oh. So again, it's not necessarily a role that requires exceptional acting, but he did what he needed to do. Now moving on to Anirudh Rawal, who I did not know was Paresh Rawal's son, who portrayed Sikandar in the movie, who portrayed Disha Patni's brother who has autism. Now, I'm guessing this is his first movie, and if it is, he surprised me with how well he portrayed that innocence of a person with autism. And also, there were certain scenes where, even though he's a character with autism, he had to showcase anger and emotion and worry. And he nailed how people with autism actually react to certain things, whether it's loud noises, whether it's frustration, whether it's worry. So honestly, I definitely came out of this movie thinking whoever portrayed that role as Sikandar definitely hit the nail on the head. He was amazing as that. Now, finally, I want to talk about Puran Gabbi. Now, I did not know that the villain in this movie was Vamika Gabbi's brother. And this is a very touchy part here. Now, after watching the movie, I've seen a lot of people praise his role. Now, I'm going to start by saying, in some scenes, I definitely did like his acting. I thought he has potential. However, in other scenes, I thought, his acting's a bit overacting. His acting's a bit underacting. His acting a bit weird. It's not really coming across as convincing. But overall, I'd say it's a good introduction to him. There's a few things he needs to work on. However, he has potential. Now, whether he utilizes it in the right way or the wrong way, that's completely up to him. But I can see that potential he has in his acting, and everybody else should see that as well. So overall, I'd say he did an okay job, but there was definitely parts where I thought, Now, we've talked about the cast. I just want to talk about the cinematography real quick. This is one thing that genuinely stood out for me throughout this movie, was the cinematography. Certain shots, certain visuals, certain aesthetics looked beautiful. I can't remember a part where I thought, I genuinely loved the cinematography, the direction, throughout this whole movie. You've got the aesthetics of the rain, you've got the aesthetics of on the train track, in the desert, and in the graveyard. There's so many different sceneries in this movie that once you take a minute to think about all of it, you think about, wow, how beautiful does this movie look? There's multiple different aesthetics and sceneries in this movie. So I quickly wanted to mention that. Now let's talk about the songs. At the beginning of the movie, the very, very beginning of the movie, To Phir Aao, originally sang by Mustafa Zahid, comes on. And I was so shocked. I was sat there and I was like, hold on. I said to my wife, that's Mustafa Zahid's voice. And I just remember smiling, man. Like, the new version is actually good as well, but hearing Mustafa Zahid's voice on the big screen after 20 odd years, wow, it felt amazing. And that was such a nice treat to us as an audience. And I've been wanting him to come back in this movie, and now we can say he was in this movie. His voice was in this movie. So that was definitely a surprise. Then shortly after, you have Ye Awarapan, which in the movie was actually a different version to what they released online. Online, they released purely Arijit Singh's version, but in the movie, I'm pretty sure it was Arijit Singh and Amal Malik actually singing it. And it surprised me. Amal Malik, I've always been fond of him. I really liked his part in the song as well, and I liked the contrast where it would have Amal singing one line, Arijit singing one line, and that was really nice to see. And the next song that came after that was a song called Lado. Now this is purely because Imran Hashmi at the beginning of the movie, in case you didn't know, adopts a girl and names her after his love of his life that passed away in the first movie, called Alia. And this is the scene where she's finally found an adopted family, and Imran Hashmi has to essentially give her away. And I would be lying if I didn't say that this scene made me tear up, because it was such a beautiful scene. The narrative between the little girl and Imran Hashmi is genuinely like a father and daughter vibe. So that scene genuinely kind of made me emotional. And shortly after, you find out, oh wait, she's been kidnapped. So then obviously, then you'll be like, oh my God, you start panicking. And I'm not going to go through all the songs, but obviously you had Tumhare Liye, which essentially just comes on between a bit of a love scene between Imran Hashmi and Disha, and we'll talk about that later. Then you have Piya Gar Aaya, which again, I love that song. And in the movie, that was honestly a really good part of the movie. With a cameo from your boy Shad Randhawa. I knew he had to be in this movie. You can't not have Kabir in this movie. And even though it was only like 3 or 4 seconds, it brought a smile on my face seeing him. And also, you obviously had To Phir Aao come on, and then you obviously had Tera Mera Rishta. Now, guys, overall about the movie, I just want to quickly talk, because I don't want to make this video too long. I'm going to talk about what I liked and disliked now. Overall, I thought they didn't ruin the legacy that the first movie had. Usually, when a movie is such a big super hit, like maybe it was a flop at the time, but it become a cult classic over time. Now, when they announce a sequel, you start worrying and you're thinking, And then in this movie, obviously, initially people thought, would they be able to live up to what Awarapan was? And honestly, the answer is yes and no. It's definitely not better than the first Awarapan. I want to put it that way. But that does not mean that they have ruined this movie or ruined the legacy that Awarapan has. This movie is a very good movie. But it is not what Awarapan 1 is. And I'll tell you why I felt that way. Number one, Awarapan 1 basically was just showcased. It had a lot more heartfelt. It had a lot more innocence, a lot more emotion, a lot more, I don't know how to put it, humanity in a way. Like, it basically was the first movie, you just remember innocence of the character Alia, and then Shivam being this guy who doesn't believe in God, but eventually starts finding God helping him. In the second part, there was not much of that, unfortunately, up until that one scene where he's surrounded by police and then the monks come and save him, and he looks at that Buddha statue and he realizes that all along God was with him. Now, that was a beautiful scene, arguably my favorite scene in the whole movie. That was a beautiful scene, but I feel like there wasn't enough of that in the second movie as there was in the first movie. But I can also see why they didn't do that, because in the first movie they showcased plenty of that, which is probably why they wanted to take it in a little bit of a different direction in the second movie rather than literally make it a copy and paste from the first movie. So I can understand that. Secondly, I felt like certain scenes didn't need to be in the movie, and honestly, unfortunately, most of them scenes were with Purang Kapi. Like, I'm not saying his scenes weren't important, they were very important. And in fact, he did good in a lot of scenes. But there was a few scenes that I thought, does this really need to be in the movie? Does it? And also, this movie was definitely a lot more action than the first one. And the action was amazing, let me start by saying that. The action was absolutely amazing. Whoever choreographed the action, hats off to you. It didn't feel over the top. It didn't feel like one punch and 5 people are flying. It felt like, not realistic, but it felt like, you know, this is okay. This is what we look for as an audience in action. We don't want to look for someone throwing a motorcycle across the road and then 3 people get hit by it and start flying. No, that's classed as bullshit, in my opinion. But I actually enjoyed the action. And the songs were definitely a plus. The placement of the songs were definitely a plus. Now, one scene that I really loved was definitely when Alia comes back while Shivam's in prison and gives him that motivation he needs. Like, get up and go and finish the job. She still looks good. What's the actress's name? Shreya Saran? Yeah, she still, I think it is anyway. She still looks good, and she still portrayed that innocence in her voice, in her words. So overall, guys, I want to say, if you guys are wondering whether to watch Awarapan 2, I would say go and watch it. This movie is not better than the first one. Remember that. The first one is something that'll never be able to be replicated or beaten. But that does not mean that this movie is bad. This movie is definitely a very, very, very good movie that you should go and watch. Like, don't go in thinking this is going to be better than the first one. It's not. It's not better than the first one. But it definitely is not ruined. You could think, oh my God, this is probably one of the first franchises in Bollywood where the first movie is really like super hit, like, and the second one is really good. They haven't ruined it. They haven't lost the essence of the first movie. Maybe they didn't portray it as much, but they still did portray it. So overall, go and watch this movie, guys. Imran Hashmi nailed it. Shabana Azmi nailed it. You know, the movie itself is definitely a treat and it takes you down memory lane. Hearing To Phir Aao, hearing Tera Mera Rishta, seeing references like Imran Hashmi visiting Alia's grave, naming the daughter after Alia, that graveyard scene, that scene where he's buried alive and punches his way out is such a reference to the first Awarapan. So, I'm sorry if I rambled on a bit, but overall my review is this movie is a good movie. It's a very good movie. It's not better than the first one, but it's not a bad movie. I don't want people to think that because I'm saying that it's not better than the first one, they've ruined it. No, they have not. Go and watch it and you will understand why I'm saying. It's like, for example, another super hit movie, say Three Idiots, for example. If they make a second part of that, there's no way it's beating the first Three Idiots. Maybe it might still be good, but they won't be able to ever beat the legacy that the first movie has had. And that is the same instance in this. I really loved, like I said, the cinematography. I really loved the choreography of action. I really loved the songs, the song placement, the acting performances by mostly everyone. And the story is kind of what let me down a bit. The story, it wasn't bad. The story was good. You know, initially you see he's adopted this girl and he's named her after Alia. But then he gives it away and essentially it's trying to get her back from being sold away in child trafficking issues. But this is where it goes slightly downhill. Whilst the story, if they had stuck on that path of trying to get the girl back, then it would have been an even better movie. But in some parts, I felt like they sidetracked a bit and they got away from that storyline. And just as you're thinking it's going too far, they pull you back in. So it's good that they pulled you back in, but it's a shame that they were going a bit off track at times. And the story is predictable, I'll be honest with you. Before the twists happen, you know what's going to happen. Now, spoiler alert, for example, when it says that Alia died, the young girl Alia I'm talking about, but then you see the taweez, and then you're like, okay, you know what's happened here. She gave it to her friend that was ill, she died, and now Disha thinks that Alia has died, but it wasn't Alia. So these sort of twists were definitely predictable. But overall, guys, I'm going to stop rambling on. Watch this movie. It's not better than the first one. Still a really good movie. The acting performances. Go and see Shivam on screen again. Go and listen to the music, the cult classic songs again. Overall, I would rate this movie a 7 out of 10. And that would probably be around a 4 out of 5 or a 3.75 out of 5. Because it definitely could be improved. It definitely had its flaws. But it's still a really, really, really good movie, guys. So thank you for watching this long video of me just waffling and rambling. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, comment, share and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.